So 1-1 it finishes between Manchester City and Chelsea. With everything that's happened with Chelsea this week and Enzo Maresca leaving the club, it's got to feel like 2 points, dropped for Manchester City, given that Chelsea scored in extra time. It now leaves them way off the pace in the title race, Nigel, behind Arsenal. How will Manchester City be feeling after that?
Well, first of all, what a game we just saw there, Poppy. And for me, I would say Manchester City would have really taken a big gut punch today, because it was a game that they pretty much dominated without creating. And I think the biggest criticism for Manchester City is not putting this game to bed, letting Chelsea have some kind of lifeline. Normally, we would say it was a smash and grab by Chelsea, but they don't take all 3 points. They take 1 point. But what they did do is give Manchester City a real stiff, deep gut punch today. We've been able to get a point away at the Etihad today. Manchester City, for me, I think there's going to be a lot of questions. Pep Gvardiol is going to be very frustrated in that performance today. Wants his team to have that killer instincts. They are chasing Arsenal. And also, let's not forget, they're coming off a back of a result of a 1-1 draw against Sunderland as well. This felt like it was a must-win for City today to really keep the pressure on Arsenal. Even though it's only 6 points, but still they needed to win today, and they didn't take all 3 points.
I'm going to look at this game like the football that I saw in the game, and we're going to see a momentum chart at some point in this segment. So, for me, Manchester City was a much better team. Chelsea looked like a group, like a team of individuals that were all over the place. At one point, Nigel said they looked like little boys playing without Maresca, without a coach. So I understand that. They didn't have a clear identity. I didn't know what they were trying to do. They were deep in their own end the whole time. This is the momentum chart I was referencing. Man City was on top the whole time. They had quality in the build-up. They controlled it. They created a lot of chances. Now, I will say this, though. Chelsea, you know how easy it is to concede a goal at the end of the first half? You just lost your manager as well. You're away from home against Man City. You don't have possession of the football. You know how easy it is to toss it in and just say, oh, forget about it. It's a difficult one for us. People will understand. They fought to the very end until they get their goal. So you have to commend that. They went hard. They went to the end. There was a team spirit at the end. Even with the sacking of their manager, I thought that was really positive from them. And for Man City, I will never understand how a team with the budget of Man City, with the players of Man City, with the manager of like Pep Guardiola's caliber, how they go in trouble with 2 passes, a pass wide and a pass across the back line. Yeah, and then I understand once it goes in front of your goal, anything can happen. Deflection, Donnarumma makes a save, it pops up, Enzo knocks it in. But they get in trouble with 2 passes in that sequence when they were in control for the entire game. So 1, they don't put the game away. They don't make their possession count. They don't finish off their chances. Yeah, obviously Haaland hit the post. But then 2, at that moment of the game, that late in the game, how you get in trouble with 2 passes, 2 very simple passes, is beyond me. It's something that Pep has to look at and has to change if they want to go for the Premier League.
And just to jump on what Grella is saying there, this is why I feel Manchester City and Pep Guardiola feel it's a real opportunity missed. Chelsea have no Caicedo, who was suspended because of yellow card accumulation, no Sanchez in goal, no Cucurella as well, where it's a makeshift team with Reece James having to play in centre midfield. And at times, like you said, Chelsea went into like a 4-4-2, where you had Neto on the right and Esteval on the left, and then they even swapped over. They were compact, trying to make it difficult for Manchester City. And that's the frustrating part, where they couldn't create anything. You'd see the team here with Achimpong starting at right as well, the young lad. Gusto starting because of no Cucurella. No Caicedo, who's been their best player, really and truly, throughout the season. This is an opportunity missed for Manchester City. When you talk about the Premier League title race, you talk about the noise that's coming from Pep Guardiola, how he just seems like a manager that really wants to win the Premier League title this season, and believes he can, coming off that Sunderland result. And today, with a Chelsea side with so much noise coming off the field than it is on the field, no manager, this is going to be a big opportunity missed today. And also, Gvardiol sadly came off for Manchester City and had to be helped off by 2 staff members. So losing him as well now, with going into the rest of this season, we don't know how serious the injury is. That could be a big blow to Manchester City.
How concerning is that, Grella? Because we did see Pep Guardiola go over to Gvardiol to see, the severity and just to check in on him as he was going off. We'll wait and hear what the news is. But that's really worrying, isn't it, for Manchester City's back line? For
sure, because they've had issues there already, and you want to create partnerships where guys are playing together a lot. You have to wonder how much that affected the way they played in the last 20 minutes and the goal that they conceded, if maybe he drops that line a little bit more, if he's organizing that back line a little bit more. And for sure, you never want to see Gvardiol injured, because he's a guy who could do it on both sides of the football as well. He can score goals from set pieces. He can score goals from open play, for that matter, as well. And he's a pretty good defender. So not great to see him go off. It's good to see Rodri back and playing well and connecting passes. Again, if you look at Man City's performance, you have to say, well, it's a pretty good performance. But at the end of the day, they didn't have the killer instinct to go get the second one, to go get the third one, and they didn't have the killer instinct in the biggest moment where, again, there's so much talk about this high line, but again, with 2 passes, the ball goes wide, ball goes across. If you can't prevent that, you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble. And if you can't smell that moment, if you can't smell that, hey, we're up 1-0, we're in the title race, we're playing against a Chelsea side that's got no Caicedo, that's got no manager, let's just manage this last couple minutes here. When you can't put those situations to bed, I worry. I worry.
That's a worry. And then when people ask about the Premier League title race, this is why I say, for me, Arsenal leading the race, and Arsenal are the favourites. When you look at them, defensively, you can trust them more than Manchester City. Yes, Manchester City have momentum, but I've always said they are still vulnerable. They are still beatable. That's a worry. And right now, today, we got the goal from Reijnders. Haaland missed a real good chance where you'd expect him to put in the back of the net. There's still other players that do need to step up. That's the worry about Manchester City right now, because defensively, you can't trust them. So if you can't trust a team defensively, the quality that they have, you have to get the job done. That means you have to get goals and get goals quickly and put teams to bed. So for me, I am worried for City because they are the best chasers of Arsenal right now, but they are still beatable.
Well, we are live on YouTube. We've got a fan comment here from Night Game. Foden and Cherki should be sold today. Both should have made it 2-0 if they actually made the correct decision.
They sold today.
Sold today.
So like they basically mailed it in or whatever that means, right? My kids use that all the time. But
look at you, Grella.
Yeah.
Understanding the lingo.
So this is what the conversation we're trying to have right now is like, Man City back in the day go up 1-0. That's it. You're not sniffing the football. And we had Troy in here who always talks about playing against Man City, how you can't get a sniff of the ball, especially when they score first. So to not see these guys put it away 2-0, Doku comes on, tries to make the difference, can't. That's the worry. The Man City of old, the Man City that won everything, the Man City that won the treble, when they scored, it was like, you might as well shut your TV off. Now you always just feel like there's going to be a moment or there's going to be a chance.
I think that's the biggest thing. There was always an aura of invincibility with Manchester City, the great Manchester City, the ones that we've seen Pep manage. Now that invincibility is not there no more. I think that teams go out there not having that fear factor, believing that they can score, because like Grella says, whether it's the high line or not, there are moments that Manchester City will let you believe you can get back into this. Chelsea should have had no chance today because for large periods of the game, it did look like men versus boys.
I suppose the real winners in all of this is Arsenal, isn't it, for Chelsea to get that leveller in stoppage time, because now they have got a bit of nice cushion at the top of the Premier League table, as you can see by 5 points, 6 points at the top.
I know people say that, but I still think that 6 points isn't a massive lead. It's not a comfortable lead that you can relax on. I think there's still going to be loads more twists and turns in this. We've got a big game coming up soon as well. Arsenal-Liverpool, big rivalry. I think that Arsenal will still be nervous about the chasing pack. Still a long way to go.
Sigh of relief today, though.
It works in favour for Arsenal for sure. Puts them more ahead in this Premier League title race. But they've got to continue to win their games as well. 6
points in the Premier League is not a big gap. But this is a massive gap for me because Manchester City, we've seen it, big Achilles heels, the things we're mentioning right now. Aston Villa, obviously it's Aston Villa, not of the same caliber of, not the same budgets that these other clubs can spend. Liverpool, it's not the Liverpool we understand, right? Losing game, dropping points. They went through unbelievable bad streaks, Mo Salah drama. Chelsea just sacked the manager. Manchester United, you never know what you're going to get with Manchester United, right? Scoring some goals, kind of look like the real deal, then all of a sudden conceding a ton of goals. The rest of these teams are not at the level to chase. So there's really flawed teams behind Arsenal. There's Achilles, they all have a clear Achilles, a clear weakness. Arsenal have no weakness. Arsenal are powerful, they're strong, they're defensive, they're fit. They have depth. They score unbelievable on set pieces.
The pressure is the weakness, though, isn't it?
So for me, that 6 points is big, right? If it's 6 points, maybe we're talking last year or we're talking years in the past, and we're talking about the Arsenal of the past. I think 6 points, hey, it's nowhere near done. 6 points now is starting to make me feel like Arsenal are going to get this thing done.
Does it add more pressure to Arsenal, though, having this gap now turning the page to 2026? Obviously, it's a new calendar year because they have been in a close race before. Obviously, it's gone all the way down to the wire, hasn't it? What makes you think, Nigel, that it is going to be different for Arsenal than this time around?
Like Grella said, it doesn't have to be rocket science. Defensively, for me, they're reliable. They have the best defence in, probably you could say, arguing in European football. They're that good defensively. And we always say as well, defence wins championships. Defence wins Premier League titles. Right now, they're solid in that factor. They're starting to score goals. They've got strength in depth. Odegaard, Eze, Trossard, Madueke, Saka. They're scoring goals. They are scoring goals and they can grind out to get results. That's what they've done. And if they're not scoring from open play, There's no more dangerous team than Arsenal when it comes to set pieces. So I think that's why I'll give them the advantage.
Chelsea obviously not in a bad position. All the talk has been everything that happened with Enzo Maresca and him parting ways with the club. Where does it leave Chelsea now, though, Nigel? Because that was a great point for them today. Liam Rosenior seems to be one of the favourites to take over the Blues. How do you feel about the direction that they should go in?
It's hard to answer that question right now, Poppy, because what people, for me, feel is they think of Chelsea of old, the foundation that Chelsea have built. What I want to say is people have to realise this isn't the Chelsea of old. We know what they've achieved in the past. This is a new management style, a new belief, a new blueprint in what they want to do, how they want to bring players in. And this is also a Chelsea really now in the multiple club ownership. I think whatever manager goes into that role, you're going to have a very tough task. You look at the Enzo Maresca situation and how he left. You look at now what people are saying in the relationship between the management and all the ownership and the manager. Had the same incident with Thomas Tuchel. Had the same incident now with Pochettino. Had the same incident now with Enzo Maresca. Whoever goes in next at Chelsea, it's going to be tough. You've gone from a club that used to go for, how we would say, top-tier managers, winners, to now they're going to names like, you talk about Liam Rosenior has been mentioned there. You talk about maybe Cesc Fabregas was mentioned in, and all these different managers have come in. It's a different era at Chelsea right now. I have no idea in what direction they want to go, in what they want to do. But the reality of it is, it's not the Chelsea of old that we were used to.
Still an attractive job, though, isn't it? No doubt, in the Premier League.
It depends on how you want to look at it, because it's an attractive job. But then now you talk about it, people are saying now, are you really going to be a manager at Chelsea? Or are you going to be a yes man to the ownership group? That's the problem that you have to have there. And I feel that these conversations, we can have our opinions on it, but really and truly, unless you're there with the ownership group for them to let you know what your role is going to be, how you're going to run the club, there'll be a lot of managers who probably might not feel comfortable with that. So I just think whoever gets the job, it's a very tough job right now.
Let's have a look at a tweet that's just come in from Julien Laurent, because this has got some update on everything. Liam Rosenior has arrived in London this afternoon. He will sign his Chelsea contract and his appointment should be announced tomorrow. OK, so development.
I know Liam well. Talk to Liam. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for Liam. I just think Liam needs to know what he's getting into. And I'm sure Liam's a very, very bright young man, very intelligent. He knows he's entering the Lions' den because he knows what comes with Chelsea Football Club, what the club is about and where they're at. So it's going to be an interesting appointment. I know he's going to face a lot of adversity and negativity already from the fan base in where they see their club, to the realisation of where your club is now under this ownership and this model. But it's a great opportunity for Liam. It's not an opportunity that will come around quite often for a lot of managers. And let's just wait to see what unfolds on this.
It's a difficult one for me. Yeah, I think the fans, even before he ever came out and said anything, or even before he was getting destroyed. And I think he's had a fine career so far. He's obviously in the process of building up his career. He was in Strasbourg before this, and he's part of the group as well. I only know about him on a personal level through Nigel, because Nigel's close to him, and I've only heard good things about him. But the Chelsea job is a different animal. And I think as a manager, you think, okay, maybe this ship doesn't come around that often, like this bus doesn't come around that often. I've got to take the job. Personally, if I was a manager, I would not take the Chelsea job.
Really? If you were Liam Rosenior, you wouldn't take it?
Let me finish.
Okay, go on.
You know, social here. I put it up and that's it. We'd be in trouble.
You see the check first of all.
Well, I wouldn't take this job unless I had assurances. Unless I had assurances of the control I was able to have with some of the players I was able to bring in, the style of football I wanted to play, and also the length of contract, right? Because you know you're going to get burned at some point with Chelsea with this ownership. Tuchel got burned, Conte got burned. So many great managers have gone in and got burned by Chelsea ownership, right, in the past. So you know at some point, more than likely, you're going to get burned. So I would talk about length of contract and how much control I would have over the club. Because I think what he's done, he's a fine manager from what I understand, but this is a big job, right? And normally it requires a manager that's won things, that has experience, especially with big players. You're talking about players that are worth almost, whatever the budget is, they're worth, these are expensive players, right? So how do you crack that code and how do you get these guys taking over? We'll see. I'm really wishing him the best. I hope he does well.
And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I know the Chelsea before Roman Abramovich. I know the Chelsea back in the day when Desai's used to come and Vialli and all those players before Chelsea really transformed to the monster they are right now. If anything, I could use a comparison. I would say this is very similar in a bit of Wilfried Nancy going to Celtic. You talk about clubs where you're going into and you have to know you've got to go in, you've got to start winning. And you've got to start winning straight away. And there's already going to be a group of the fan base that doesn't want you there because they don't believe you're a bigger name. But how do you know how good a manager can be or the potential has without being given an opportunity? So again, it's a different animal that they're dealing with, and he knows that he has to win and win instantly. And Grella makes a good point. Young players, lots of money, but Liam's a young manager. They could probably be able to relate more to him because of his age as well. And the young players have got the oldest player in their squad, I think, 28 years old? Yep. So you talk about a young team that still needs to be developed, needs to coach, because there's not one player in Chelsea right now that you can say is the finished article. They're all developing to become the next step or the finished article.
I also think with Will Fernandez, right? Celtic fans and fans all over the world will say, oh, he's not that caliber. He's not good enough for that job. It might be true. It might not be true. Also coming in mid-season, really difficult because you're not able to implement the way you want to play. You're not able to implement your culture. You're not able to understand who's your best 11, who's going to be fighting for you, who's not. Those conversations you have in preseason, those drills that you do in preseason, when you travel together, when you eat together, that's when you learn a lot about your group. And so he's not going to have that. So hopefully he hits the ground running. But again, I think Will Fernandez is a fine manager. But coming into the middle of the season, you've got no shot. It's really, really difficult. So he's going to have to find a way to win games, win them fast. If he can get to the end of the season, whatever that situation, whatever his deal looks like, because obviously this news has just come up, we'll see what he looks like. But it's difficult to come in midway through a season with a group that already just lost the manager.
Poppy, whoever takes the Chelsea job, it's going to be a tough job. One of the hardest jobs.
Well, at least the bright side is they've missed the game against Manchester City, because who wants to come into a new club and then play Manchester City?
And the other good thing is Nigel's invited himself already to the Chelsea team.
Already texted him.
Yes, he says, I'm headed over there if he gets the job. It looks like he's got it. So
off you go, Nigel.
There we go.
Well, from one Manchester team to another, let's just hear from Ruben Amorim following Manchester United's 1-1 draw today with Leeds United.
Guys, to stop with that, and I noticed that you receive selective information about everything. I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. And that is clear. I know that my name is not Tuchel, is not Conte, is not Mourinho, but I'm the manager of Manchester United. And it's going to be like this for 18 months, or when the board decided to change. So that was my point. I want to finish with that. I'm not going to quit. I will do my job until other guy is coming here to replace me. And that is going to finish in 18 months, and then everyone is going to move on. That was the deal. That is my job, not to be a coach. If people cannot handle the Gary Nevilles and the criticisms of everything, we need to change the club.
Well, it's not the first time, is it, that he's had to defend his job at Manchester United. What do you think about the comments of him saying, I'm not the coach, I'm the manager of Manchester United, Nigel?
I'm glad he knows he's the manager. At least we know that for a fact. And as Manchester United fans, you can be happy that your manager knows his role. But I have no idea why he went on that tirade there. Really, I have no idea why he feels that he needed to say all these situations. You're coming off a 1-1 draw against Leeds, a passionate game that normally has two clubs who really going at it. And again, for me, there's so much noise going on at Manchester United. There always has been since he's taken over. And it doesn't seem that too much has really changed. You're the manager of Manchester United, then you talk about other people have to do their jobs. You kind of have a little go or pop at your director of football and the scouts. So whether something's happening there, where there's a decision breakdown between players you want to recruit, maybe they're giving you a different option to say, maybe, you know what, let's change the formation or the system. There always seems to be something going on there. For me, you can read a lot into that whole tirade that he had for 8 minutes about how he feels right now at Manchester United. But at least one thing for sure is he knows he's the Manchester United manager.
If I said that I knew what he's talking about, I'd be lying. I'm not a mind reader. I have no idea what he's talking about and why he's bringing it up in that moment, like Nigel alludes to. Like, there's so many things that go on at a club, and maybe that's what he's sort of hinting at, different people saying different things behind closed doors, which we obviously don't have access to. One thing's clear, though, with what he said, and if you put together his time at Manchester United, he came in, he thought, okay, this thing's a project. We're going to play my system. This is going to be fun. We're going to get worse before we get better. Just a little smirk on his face. That's all gone away. And I think the real frustration set in, and the reality of Manchester United, the beast that it is, has set in for him. And he's arrived to a point where he doesn't care at this point whether he gets sacked, he gets paid up, he moves on. And he could move on and say, well, man, there's been some great managers there that haven't been able to get the job done, so it was not on me. or he gets to the point where he does have full control. I am the manager here. I do get full control, full respect. Give me my time till the end of the season. He's come to a point where he doesn't care. I think that's clear. Not in that he doesn't care for the club or he doesn't care for his job or the players. I think at the point where when you get there in life where he just thinks, okay, if they sack me,
I'm going to do it my way.
I'll move on, but I am going to do it my way.
Yeah.
To some point, I'm not a big Amorim fan. To some point, I respect that. And I understand his journey so far to get to that point.
I think it's also an element of frustration because when you look at them right now and the run of results that they've had, it's like the door's opening for them to step into top 4. I've said it publicly that if Manchester United finish in the top 4 this year, that is absolute progression. When you look at what happened to them last year, and every time they have an opportunity to really step in that top 4, they let themselves down. Yes, it's Leeds United. Big rivalry, big history when these two clubs meet. Grella's played in the game against Manchester United, so he knows what it's like. The fact that they draw 1-1, it wouldn't be seen as a good result for Manchester United when you talk about where they're going compared to Leeds United in a relegation fight. So I think there's an element of frustration there where it's also the British media where it's not easy to deal with the British media and the questions they put to you and how they will continue to poke you.
Yeah, even then he said, I'm not letting Gary Neville get to me, but naming him by name.
Naming by name, you
kind of says otherwise, doesn't it?
Exactly, thank you. And I think that is the frustration behind it. And I think that's what's really getting to him now, the fact of we could be in the top 4 and we don't quite make it. And it's going to be the same continuous cycle that we're going to see until they put a run of games together of 4 or 5 straight wins.
Just very quickly before we go, who would you rather coach at or manage, according to Ruben Amorim? If you're a young manager, which job is more attractive, Manchester United or Chelsea?
Manchester United.
I think Manchester United because there's nowhere to go but up. But both clubs come with a lot of pressure. Also, just to be more clear, manager is you're managing the club.
Right.
You're managing different relationships. You're managing the team. Coach is simply the football and aspect of the game. So you don't have any say on the player. So what he's trying to say, just in case it's not clear, is I want to control
everything.
The ecosystem
I'm
here.
a manager, so I'm involved in recruiting. I'm involved in certain things. So I'm guessing that he's probably said some names or said some targets, and maybe the people who have to get that done aren't quite convinced and trying to make it difficult.
But doesn't the coaching come with that? The being
coaching
on the
is an aspect of managing.
Right.
Yes.
So he's saying, I'm
not just
everything.
the coach, I'm the manager.
Yes. Yeah, right. OK, interesting stuff for Manchester United and for Chelsea. Happy days for Chelsea. I'm sure a point from the Etihad is just what they wanted to start this brand new calendar year.